from your perspective, how this zero-based budgeting typically down to realize your world-class efficiency and specific to the procurement side?
We call it ZBB. All right, so ZBB is about how we do business. When 2008 hit, you saw a lot of big banks or big companies all of a sudden shift their way of doing business. And instead of staying at those 4-star, 5-star hotels, right, they started staying at the Hampton Inns. All right, well, we find that interesting. We're always staying in there, or Fairfield, or whatever the second level is. But after the financial crisis went by, those companies went back to their normal practices.
Yeah.
We don't. The thought is this. It's called cost connect win. So if we keep the cost in those areas down, we can transfer that money that we save in the budgets to invest in our brands. And then that takes the top line increase.
I want to know about service purchasing process, because you make example most of material purchasing.
We look at services a little differently. When it's really big spend, we kind of want to get into the specification. If we have the specification, then we can apply direct material type methodology. If we don't, and we don't have a real need for, say, the service provider, there might be multiple service providers, then we very much go to the market. How do we determine the market? We usually go with what we call e-auctions. So we'll auction those. Last year, our auctions were about 31,000, and we put 5.3 billion through auctions. No company in the world does that, as many as we do. Give you an idea, 24 billion is what we spend. 12 billion of it is indirects, and 12 billion is directs. We look at both sides aggressively.
I remember that you mentioned that actually you were covering 82% of your commodity volatility, and you were moving toward a 90%, and mentioned about a mathematical model to optimize this volatility. So my question is, you are planning to just do the hedge, or you're planning to use this as an speculation related to commodities?
We look at speculation a little different. The speculation that we look at is whether that's internal here or based on inference or something you've seen in the past personally and you have an emotional trading moment. We don't do that. But if we've got a history of things that are predicted and we can follow that through some complex algorithms, maybe that gives us less risk. There are really brilliant people out there, and using a crowd of mathematicians to try to solve some of our commodity problems. If we can give them a commodity and they can see the data through history, maybe they can design an algorithm that then we can employ that will be able to predict within some reasonableness to limit our risk. Then we think we can actually start forecasting where we think it's going to go. The reason we do hedging is very simple. It's about giving us time to be able to address in the market commercial issues. But the real issue for why we do the hedging is about us being able to take market actions on the top end.
So when you're buying, say, barley, do you have any concerns with whether or not people will be able to reverse engineer your processes, or maybe not even barley, maybe more specifically brewing equipment? And what steps do you guys take in your organization to make sure that doesn't happen?
The barrier or the protection we do is there's a trust, there's a contract. They have the ability to save seeds and then replant next year, all right? But we hold the ability not to buy from them. We have thousands of farmers, thousands. So our real strength is helping the farmers become more efficient in their farming process. We provide them the seeds, we provide them fertilizer. We actually give them up-to-date, technically, the best way to grow their seeds, okay? And what we ask for them on their end is to sell back to us. And if they hold back the seeds and then want to do the crop next year and sell to, say, brand X, that's a problem for us, but it only happens once.
Nowadays, people are getting more sophisticated, so you need a bigger portfolio in order to fulfill their needs. So, what kind of impact these things have in your supply chain structure?
When we go to new product launches, each one of my category leads and the zones assure 2 or 3 things. They assure that with the supplier, they're going to meet the on-time delivery. B, the supply security. Usually the launch is a certain level, and if it really does well, they go outside the forecast. Now, our sales organization will demand, and rightfully so, for us to be able to supply them. So we might have planned for this level, but we need to be here. And so that becomes our reactionary area. That's when my category leads in Belgium and also in the ground in the zones get heavily involved with our suppliers.
You mentioned little projects related to innovation, but are you prepared for when the market actually became in your biggest fear?
We think we've got the market intelligence out there to know what's coming, right? We don't expect to be surprised by our competitors. Now I'll give you a reason. Most of the large suppliers contractually know with us that if they've got an innovation they've created, so say it's a new bottle, new can, new dispensing equipment, all those things, they have a responsibility to at least show it us first, and we say no thank you. So if we get surprised, then there's a problem, right? And either our competition did a fantastic job, or B, we weren't listening.
I know ingredient quality is often it's a big issue, and controlling it across different suppliers is hard. And a lot of times there's certain levels of active ingredients that need to be available. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And of course your organization can test for them. But I feel like driving that culture down towards the vendors, down towards the farmers. You're sitting high up in a very big organization. How do you, looking down on that, try to push that down, not just to the folks working directly with you, but to the guys a level below them?
It comes from this. It goes, and I know you were saying I sit up here, but I really don't. That right there puts you on the ground, all right? So then you're working really close. We're somewhat of a flat company. So from Carlos Brito down to the brewing manager, it's not that far. It's actually very close. The second part is the technology for making beer is pretty simple. It's repeatable, and it's been going on for a long period of time. It's not like technology where iPhone becomes 3, goes to 4, goes to 5. Those are big changes. Here, we're making beer. It's repeatable. It goes back to track and monitoring. Whether it's our corn or barley or wheat, we have those tests. So we know how much protein's in there. We know all the different levels that are in there. We can also set that back. The seeds that we plant, we actually know the DNA within those, and we know the genes and what we expect to come out. So we can do all those predictions. Lastly, this is the best part, the taste testing. So I know this is hard to believe, but we fly Budweiser in from around the world. Now, Budweiser is the #1 premium beer in China, all right? It has to taste the same every day. So we fly it in to St. Louis, where we have, I don't know these people well, I just know that they have educated tongues. I can't tell the difference, but these guys can tell the difference down perfectly. And get this tells you about the level of quality. If these guys don't agree that it meets the standard, we dump it, all right? So if you're talking about Budweiser, we dump, you're talking millions and millions of dollars. Ownership. I mean, I'm amazed every day. I'm amazed every time I go to our breweries and I go to our operations, how well it's run.
Tony, thank you so much for your time. We definitely appreciate it a lot.